I'm going to go ahead and why don't we go ahead and get started? Good evening and welcome to the STEM Up Club third event from the Inside Speaker Series. I'm so excited to see you and welcome you to the Inside, an event that was created for high school and middle school students who are curious and looking to learn about career opportunities, connecting concepts inside with outside and outside of the classroom. So if you're here to learn and be inspired, you've come to the right place. I'm Giselle Nguyen, PYL-USD parent for 18 years and former corporate executive turned life coach and the VP of academics for the Reach Foundation. Now I'd like to ask you to introduce yourself in the chat box. Please type and tell us what school you're with and your grade, please. For you, the students who are out there, and even if you're parents, let us know the school that that your student attended. All right. Emily, yes, Esperanza. Thank you. All right. So as the chat, Mr. Block, thank you for being here. Ripley from El Dorado in 10th grade. Fantastic. Thank you. Zach. All right. Lane, Melinda, thank you. Justine. All right. Wonderful to see you all. And let's see, Harish. All right. Fantastic. So the STEM Up Club is a district-wide club that encourages students to step up and speak up as we explore the field of science, technology, engineering, and math. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Lane Williams, my co-host on the academic team, who has prepared the event program for tonight. Lane, if you could drop that into the chat box. And if you click on the link to the program, you'll see the document, which will give you our program, and you'll see the agenda, the team who's worked behind the scene to make this event happen, and also the speaker's profile. We're very fortunate to have strong partnerships with our PYL-USD team under Carrie Biscard, and without their support, this event wouldn't be possible. And in today's program, we have 3 talented PYL-USD alumni who were in high school or sitting where you're at not too long ago. And these awe-inspiring alumni have returned to share their stories about their journey and answer any questions that you may have. They have prepared a 5-minute talk, and afterwards they will take your questions. So please have a pen and paper close by to write down your questions. And we're grateful to have them return and to give back to our community. And I'm looking out there to Riley and the young students. It may be you who will come and be a speaker one day in the future. So our intention tonight is to provide as much value as possible to you and to help you, our student, and all who are interested to prepare for your next level, your next grade. And if you're a senior in high school, that next stage, that may be college or university life. And because we're living during a time of exponential change, we believe that programs like this will help elevate, connect, and expand our students' experiences and opportunities. So thank you for supporting the Reach Foundation. I'd also like to go through some ground rules to ensure that we have a safe space for a great meeting. So if you could, please keep your video on, and so that there is some engagement back and forth. We'd love to see you. And then use the chat box to ask questions and give feedback to the speakers. I think it's a great way to thank the speakers by giving them feedback. And I also want to thank you in advance for going all in and being present and participating. And also at the end, Molina Michaels, who's our president, has a few parting gifts for those who really participate. And at the end, she'll randomly select a few names and she'll announce the winners at the end. So again, please turn on your video, use the chat box to ask questions, and we will go ahead and get started. And then there's one last housekeeping note. If we have technical issues, please be patient. We have 3 tech masters to monitor the audio, the video, and the meeting overall. And during the speaker's presentation, we'll ask everyone to mute, and this meeting will be recorded. So, are you ready to get the road on the show on the road? Let me go ahead and introduce our first speaker. Emily Carr is a 2018 Esperanza High School alumni and Aztec of the Year who is currently attending Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. She is heavily invested in her research with bacteria infecting viruses, helping to lead the honors program at BYU and assisting people with disabilities through work and volunteering. She plans to apply in medical school in May and graduate from BYU in April 2022. Please help me welcome Emily Carr. Emily, please take it.
Good. Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be talking with you tonight. So I'm going to start by introducing myself as I was in your shoes. And if you hear anything that relates to you, give a little woot woot from your screen so I could see where my people are. So I graduated from Travis Ranch Elementary School and then Travis Ranch Middle School. I see our assistant principal there. And then Esperanza High School. I was involved in academic decathlon, HOSA, the Medical Sciences Academy, WE Club, choir, and AP classes, a lot of those. So I ended high school on a high point. I knew I wanted to be a doctor due to graduating from the Medical Sciences Academy. My teacher, Valerie Easton, had instilled this passion in me, or awoken a passion in me for helping people, especially sick people. As well as I learned I had a talent for stabbing people, that is with vaccines and blood draws. So I ended senior year just in a stellar position. I'd gotten into my dream college, I was Aztec of the Year, and then college hit. But my trials are your treasure because I'm going to share the 3 lessons that I learned as a freshman. So the first lesson is take them by storm. My first day of college, I walked in with a pressed shirt and a sticky noted planner ready to run the day. But the day ended up running me, especially pipettes. Those of you who aren't familiar, a pipette is a simple machine used to suck up liquids in science. It's of course simple for everyone, unless you're Emily Carr. If you're Emily Carr, you're going to struggle with it for an hour and a half. You're going to watch your peers succeed and leave the lab finishing their protocol, and you're going to sit there begging it. I will dedicate my life to you if you will only work. And it will work when the TA comes over and turns it on. I remember thinking at that point, how am I going to be a doctor if I cannot turn on a pipette? Now I see some of you laughing, and laugh as you will, but you will all have pipette days. It might be the first day of introduction to chemistry or trying to find your classes on the first day, but you will all struggle. But here's the thing you have to do. You've got to not let them know what hit them. That night, I went home and I watched pipette videos until that was the only thing YouTube recommended to me. I went from smelling like bacteria in my research lab to smelling like cadavers in my anatomy lab. I didn't have many friends. As a freshman, I applied for grants that were for juniors and seniors. And you know what? I got them. Not because I was crazy incredible, but because I was willing to do the work to make it happen. The culminating experience of my freshman year was getting invited to present at Howard Hughes Medical Institute in Virginia about my research with the bacteria eating viruses. And a Harvard professor came and asked me after my presentation about how to implement my protocol. And that wasn't due to being extraordinary, it was due to perseverance and that darn pipette. So the second lesson is to find what you're passionate about and do it. So at Esperanza, I said I was involved in the Medical Sciences Academy, and I loved it. I had a passion for the medical sciences, I had a passion for people, but I also had a passion for singing in choir and reading in AP English. And in college, I let those things slip. I was getting A's, and people thought that must make me really happy. But in reality, I was kind of sad. So I started volunteering and teaching llamas how to hike on Saturdays. I took a Russian literature class and read 1,400-page books. I helped a 62-year-old woman with Parkinson's get her bachelor's degree. And it did take away from my sciences a bit, but it made me so much happier. So I would tell you guys to focus on grades and ambition, but don't let that stop you from being happy. Now, the third one is stop comparing yourself to people now. And I mean now, because I wish I had started when I was your guys' age. I'm a really confident person and really proud of what I've accomplished. But inside that confident shell is this insecure girl and a really loud, malicious voice. I felt really good about myself until I would hear about other people doing cool things. And all that sudden, the voice would start to shout, "You're not as cool as them. You're not doing enough. You should just give up." And it led to a lot of sadness and insecurity. But here's what I would say to past Emily, as well as all of you guys right now. You are enough. You are incredible, and you can accomplish your goals. I have little sisters at Travis Ranch Elementary, middle school, and Esperanza High School, and I am inspired by them daily and inspired by their stories of your friends your age. You guys are incredible. I want you to take people's accomplishments and make it a rung on your ladder to climb up rather than a stick to beat yourself with. So, despite all these pitfalls and difficulties, I'm still really happy about where I ended up. I'm applying to medical school in May with goals of being an infectious disease doctor, and I'm graduating with a 4.0, 2 publications, and an honors thesis. And I'm telling you guys that you guys can do all of that too. Thank you.
Emily, I love that. And such wisdom, a rung on a ladder to climb up with, not a stick to beat yourself with. I love that, Emily. And I would welcome any questions at this time for Emily. If you have a question, you could put them in the chat box. And why don't I start with one for you, Emily? When you were a child, what or who inspired you most?
My mom, she's on here right now.
Yeah.
My mom made it possible for me to do all the things I could do. She helped me pack my lunch as a kid. She would run to the office when I would inevitably forget homework assignments at home. And she was just my support system through and through. In terms of the science side, I looked up to my academy teacher, Miss Valerie Easton, so much. She was so professional and she taught me, like, you got to iron your stuff, you got to be respected, and you've got to put yourself out there. So I've just had incredible women in my life who have taught me to be who I am.
Oh, and Deborah must be so proud right now hearing those words from you, Emily. That is so special, from a mom to hear that. I mean, and you've accomplished so much, Emily. Lane, do we have any questions? Sanaya says, wow, I really related to your speech. It was very positive and honest. That's wonderful feedback.
Okay, Emily, I can ask you another question. Let's see. What in your life or your experiences has helped motivate you towards success?
Sorry, flexible and adaptable. Motivated me towards success. Let's do right here. So the things that have motivated me towards success is my passion for helping people. I loved being in the Medical Sciences Academy. With it, you get to do an internship. So I was able to intern at Caduceus Pediatric Urgent Care. I loved it so much, but I realized quickly that there were things I couldn't do. I wasn't great at giving TB tests. I wasn't great at figuring out all the buttons on an audiogram. And so when I face challenges, that's what motivates me to learn more, do better, and reach that next tier so I can face more challenges and try again.
All right. Fantastic. Any other questions that we have for Emily? Don't be shy. This is the time to ask Emily anything you would like to know. You know, the pet story is hilarious. Is that so for someone who did not study medical science at Esperanza? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
For sure. So in the academy, you start your sophomore year and you start just by learning the basics. You do the body systems a little bit, you get familiar with the medical field, and you look at all different types of medical careers. That's when I learned that I didn't want to be a pediatrician. Love kids, struggle with sad, crying kids. And then junior year, you learn about the body. You go really in depth with the body system. I was there when they got their anatomage table. It's a $100,000 giant iPad, basically, human-sized iPad. And you can download cadavers onto them to do little surgeries and to look all into the human body. It was fascinating. And then your senior year, you continue learning how to be a medical assistant. So you do blood draws, you do immunizations, you do hemoglobin tests and vision tests and all sorts of things, as well as in the second semester, you do an internship. So like I said, I went to a pediatric urgent care, and you're a medical assistant and you're putting into practice all of the skills you've learned. And honestly, that's probably been the biggest help getting into college and being a certified medical assistant and applying to jobs and being like, I've already done this for 6 months. Like, I don't know how everything works, but I know how some things work, and I can figure out the rest.
Wow. So that is invaluable experience. And did that inform you to pursue your degree in the medical sciences even further after your experience at Esperanza?
Yes. So in that internship, I was able to work with medical doctors, physicians, and I was so inspired about the incredible work they were doing. And just, I'd mentioned it before, but I have seen so many sick people in my life, and in and out of hospitals. And just with that, I just knew I wanted to help people like that. And my internship really solidified that in me. And then getting into college, I knew right away, I'm like, okay, something medical sciences. And I settled on molecular biochemistry, and it's been everything I've wanted. So for sure, it has set me up.
Oh, wonderful, Emily. We are so lucky to be in a district that has these academies, and the Medical Science Academy at Esperanza is excellent, and the education that you have, that you are able to share with us, is wonderful, Emily. And I hope that that will help students who also aspire to pursue the medical science career in the future. So thank you so much. Let's give Emily a round of applause. I know that when we're on Zoom, we could do the sizzle or give the hand motions, but thank you so much, Emily. Fantastic job. All right. At this time, I'd like to bring on our second speaker. Garrett graduated from El Dorado High School in 2017. He received an associate degree in fine arts from Fullerton College and is currently attending Cal State Fullerton, studying fine arts with a concentration in animation and game design. He is working as a graphic design intern at 360 Biz, a marketing firm in Orange. Garrett has worked on an array of projects, including brochures, logo design, flyers, business cards, and even children's book. His goal is to one day work for a VFX team at Marvel Studios as a hard surface modeler. Please help me welcome Garrett Gonzalez.
Thanks, Giselle. Uh, Hello, everyone. My name is Garrett Gonzalez. As of right now, I am a junior at Cal State Fullerton and a former El Dorado and Fullerton College alumni. So basically, when I was younger, I always wanted to create, whether it was making giant worlds in Minecraft or creating giant animated Christmas and Halloween light shows for my neighborhood. Yes, I was that guy on the street. Creativity was always my drive. In high school, I was on tennis for all 4 years and even a board member for the Cards for All Club. And basically, that's a trading card club. And I was even part of water polo at a point in time. My academic calling wasn't really found until late high school when I took a DMAA class with my teacher, Mr. Block, who's in the call, as an elective. For those who don't know, DMAA stands for Digital Media Art, that focuses on specific programs in digital art. In there, I was exposed to all sorts of Adobe softwares that allowed me to kind of dip my toes into the graphic design and animation world. Um, that was kind of where I found my passion because after I took that class, I realized I could make a career out of this. I remember creating in that class logos for fake companies, animations. I even remember creating like a flip book animation once, like where the ball would like go between the pages, and even a stop motion animation with a camera of some sort. Another cool thing I did in that class was winning a contest to design a graduate medal held by the North Orange County ROP community that's held only every 10 years. This is the medal right here. It's also on my background. Um, the contestants were required to submit all three designs to the committee, and if won, all students in the artistic programs across the district would wear the medals to their graduation. I was even featured on the OC register at a point in time, which was really cool. Um, I was originally set on being a graphic designer going out of high school. I even got a job as one, but in Fullerton College, I was introduced to 3D, and I kind of found that a little bit more fun. But going back to the topic of the job, I work as a graphic designer at 360 Biz, which is a marketing firm in Orange. I found this job basically through networking in a trade show for my father. He does electrical engineering. And I ran into one of his friends. We talked a bit, and then he literally asked me if I wanted a job. So I swung over to his building, and kind of the rest is history there. But when I was fortunate enough to have taken that class in high school because I actually used basically all the skills I learned there at my job. Um, a huge one is problem solving. Problem solving is a big one, and software knowledge, even communicating with fellow workers to share creativity ideas. I worked on a series of projects there, like brochures, business cards, even a children's book at a point in time. And I'm currently part time, but gaining great experience through this opportunity. Going back to the 3D side of things, that's kind of my calling now. Like the DMAA class I took in high school, I took a 3D class at Fullerton College and loved it. Now in my free time, I'm creating flying cars or mechs or props for commercial use, which are all kind of featured behind me. I enjoy hard surface modeling, which is creating non-organic objects or environments. Over my years, I've taken 3D classes on 3D cloth design, 3D printing, particle effects, vehicle design, etc. One day, I hope to work for a VFX department of a commercial or game or film studio, preferably Marvel being a superhero fan. I'm not going to lie, it is competitive, but constantly exposing yourself to different software classes, techniques, every day will help you build that game changing portfolio, and it just might make you slightly better than the guy who's applying next to you. All in all, if you're thinking about going into this field, take at least one class of a digital art topic, and who knows, it might spark something. Personally, I wish I took more DMA classes in high school, but I love the field because all the projects are different. Whether you're in class or on the job, it's all different. You get to use your creativity to your advantage. And that's what I love about it. some advice I can try to give you is try to create something new every day. Draw something, learn a new hotkey, learn a new technique, learn a new software. It all helps you increase your skill set, and take every opportunity offered you, because you never know where it might lead you. Your limit is basically your imagination. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Garrett. That's a wonderful presentation that you shared. Create something new every day. That is important to be reminded, that we are creative beings. And if we use our creativity every day, it'll be amazing what we could accomplish and the skills that we could fine tune. I'd love to ask Mr. Block to unmute and ask him how it feels to see one of your students talk about your class and his experience at the DMA program.
Oh, of course, it's really cool to see Garrett, and to see Garrett again, and is always awesome. So personally, this is actually my 5th year as a teacher, and to see Garrett, who graduated close to when I had just begun, and to see how he's progressed, it's actually it's a great feeling. So it's nice to see that he's progressed and he's got these aspirations. And so, yes, I can absolutely see you being very successful in your future.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Block, so much for being here and for the inspiration that you've provided to all the students that interact with you every day. Thank you for all that you do. We have a question that just came in from Riley Triplett. What years did you take DMAA classes, and also how many?
Great
Garrett.
question, Riley. So I took only one class my senior year of high school. There wasn't too many, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just took a design class as an elective, and kind of the rest is history, but yeah.
So if you were to recommend, classes in this academy, what would you recommend?
Oh, well, actually, I talked to Mr. Block a little bit ago, and there's so much more. So take the graphic design class with Mr. Block, obviously, and take some 3D modeling classes. See if you like 2D or 3D better. And maybe take some video production class. I heard there's a photography class now, and I don't know. It's all personal preference, but it doesn't hurt to dip your toes in each. Personally, I love 3D, so I would definitely shoot for those classes. I heard they're doing game design now, and I wish I could have taken those.
Great. Lane, did you want to ask the next question?
Sure. So Mr. Block actually asked, how did you adjust to the higher level of responsibility in college classes as opposed to high school?
Great question. I kind of just jumped right into it. It's hard to say because you just have to experience this game through doing. So you just got to go into it. You got to say, like, yeah, everything's a challenge. Everything new is a challenge, but going right into the college, the higher level response, it's time management. It's all these stuff that you kind of learn in early high school. You have to just adjust and allow it the new time scale. It learn by doing is basically the summary.
That's right. In many of the jobs that I had when I was in corporate, 80% of what I learned is on the job, right? Mm-hmm. And the school does a lot to kind of help you with the fundamentals, but the work is actually learned when you're doing it. So that's good advice there. Are there any other questions?
Jonna D, I hope I'm saying that right. Jonna D just asked how your experience has been at Cal State Fullerton.
Oh, it's been great. I mainly took the intro classes at Fullerton College, but in Cal State, I get to take the more advanced classes like rigging or creating like rigging is creating like bones in an animation or on a car or something, or doing more vehicle design and stuff like that. So it's just like it's the same classes at Fullerton College, but much more advanced. You get into texturing, 3D printing more. They got a lot more tech. So obviously I have all the softwares at my house. But there's just a lot more uh kind of stuff there. And the experience helps so much. I haven't done any jobs actually no, I've been starting to do freelance in 3D modeling, creating like some small commercial products for people, like businesses kind of starting up. Um, and using those skills I learned at Cal State Fullerton, it's been fantastic. Learning the hotkeys, learning the techniques, constantly working every day, like I said, to create those awesome props, whatever they're presenting to or whatnot. So yeah.
All right. And we could see in your background all the cool things that you've created, Garrett. So thank you for preparing that virtual background.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes. All right. Now it's time for us to introduce our third speaker. Rachel graduated from the Valtech program at Valencia High School in 2015. She served as a service mission in Taipei, Taiwan, speaking Chinese. She has interned for the US Air Force and USAA. Rachel graduated in computer science from BYU, Idaho, and will be working for USAA. She will soon be starting her MBA while she works for the company. Please help me welcome Rachel Chang.
Yay! Hey y'all. So just some points that I've learned from my experience, not to judge too quickly, what I like and what I'm good at. There are many things I thought I liked in high school or I hated in high school, but over time I learned to love. Running was one of them. Computer science was another. I was not a coordinated child. I did cross country and track by default, as it seemed to take the least amount of athletic ability. There were no tryouts for cross country. All you had to do was keep going. I was on an all-girls team of 80, and I was the slowest by far. I was behind the next slowest person by over a mile. The coach was concerned about my safety, so he had me ride in the Cripple Crew car on the ride back to the high school. When my grandpa asked me how I was doing, I was really embarrassed to tell him how bad I was because he went to college on a track scholarship. And so I told him what was going on, and his response surprised me. He said, "I'm proud of you, Rachel. It's easy to be the first in a race. It is so much harder to finish that same race last." I realized that he was prouder of my determination to continue than my talent that I had. I decided that talent was maybe something I didn't have, but determination was something I could do. By my sophomore year, I became the most improved runner on the team. And I learned that when you keep working at something, you learn to love it. Also, during my freshman year, a teacher suggested I take an AP computer science class. I didn't know what that meant. I figured that we all would do it in class. All we would do in class would be to take apart a computer and then put it back together again and figure out what the parts were. And I hated it more than my humiliation with cross country. It was like landing on another planet. Oh, I found myself in a room full of boys who had built computers in their garage. While I had no idea what the difference was between software and hardware, I didn't understand why many of them were speaking Entish from Lord of the Rings, a movie I still haven't seen, or why they were talking about World of Warcraft. 98% of the time, I had no clue what was going on. I was completely lost and out of place. but I kept going because you can't really drop high school classes, and I needed to get a good grade in this class to stay in the Valtech program. By the end of the year, I still couldn't speak Entish, but I had learned to intelligently speak about the Marvel Universe, and I was beginning to understand just a little bit more about coding. After the first computer science class, I was relieved and absolutely certain I would never study computer science again. In my junior year of the Valtech program, you have to do an internship. This internship made all the difference for me. I worked at a small engineering company. It started out with me intending to do graphic design for their brochures and their social media pages. But when they discovered I had taken a computer science class in high school, they also had me programming and working on electrical engineering. By the end of the internship, I was surprised to find I hated doing graphic design as a job, but I really liked computer science and electrical engineering. This was completely different than what I had imagined. I decided to try majoring in computer science in college, but I still thought of it as a backup plan because I was pretty sure the math requirements would kill me. I was surprised to fall in love with it. I was super grateful that I did the Valtech program because it gave me exposure to career fields I never would have considered. I know from experience that you cheat yourself out a lot when you give up too quickly. It is easier to try to go off searching for talent in something rather than developing a talent in something through determined effort. This is something I wish I had realized just a little bit earlier in life. Maybe I would have been a ballerina. I am fortunate to have discovered something I love through working hard at it. I have had so many opportunities in the STEM field and that I wouldn't otherwise not have had. How cool is it to have an internship with the Air Force, to have high security clearance and work on things I still can't talk about, or have another internship working cybersecurity with the banking industry. I love school projects that involve working in teams where we decided to hack a drone and make it capable of facial recognition to find missing persons. I love the challenging work that I get to do, and I appreciate discovering an interest in something that I never would have imagined I had. In my first computer science class, I was an alien, and now I am a unicorn in my field.
Rachel, thank you so much. A unicorn in your field and a ballerina who runs track, cross country.
I wish I'm so
I
not
know.
coordinated.
Oh, I love your messages. Don't judge too quickly. And, if you keep working on it, you'll learn to love it and discover what you're good at, right? So wonderful messages. I'd like to open it up to see if there are any questions for Rachel. Great job, Rachel. You got some feedback from Sanaa. Wow, a unicorn in your field. It was so exciting to hear your experience in Valtech. So can you talk a little bit more about that, right? Because you're in a field of computer science, which is male dominated. And how do you position yourself to work in that environment and deal with the pressure?
Well, it was very intimidating the first time around, and I guess in some ways it kind of is. I mean, all throughout college, it was the same way. I'm the only girl in my department, and it was just all boys in every single class. So there would be 60 boys, and then there would be me. So it was always funny. I would walk into a class, and like the door, I guess it was like the air difference between outside and inside. So the door would open and it would waft my hair. I would just waltz in. And it was just really funny to see the reactions to all the guys in the room where they're like, is she lost? Does she know where she's at? And so at first it was kind of intimidating, but I kind of learned to, I guess, get over it and to be okay with standing out a little bit and to be okay with like taking that to kind of to my advantage. It makes it a lot easier in some cases to go job hunting in my field, just because I am such like an anomaly. And networking makes it a lot easier. Like it's a lot easier to stand out at a career fair when there's a line of like 50 guys and then there's just one random like girl in the line. And so in that sense, it made it a lot easier being a unicorn.
Oh, good for you. Love that attitude. Use that to your advantage, right? And you're setting the path for other women to come into this space. So good for you, Rachel.
We have
Lynn.
some questions in the chat. So I'm gonna butcher this name. Gitanjali asked, can you do IB and Valtech as a dual program?
Oh, that's an excellent question. From my understanding, I had cousins that did the IB program and I did the Valtech program. I've heard that it is possible. I wouldn't recommend it because I think that it would be extremely difficult with the amount of course load that you'll get from the IB program. I think what might be really helpful, more so, if you're interested in the Valtech program, is to look into that and then take AP classes because those are super helpful. And they, a lot of the times in the IB program, they do have you take quite a few classes that are as stimulating as the AP classes. And it's very helpful for when you go into college and you can use those AP credits to waive some classes instead.
All right, they had a follow-up question. What grade do you take the computer science related classes at Valencia?
Technically, you can take that any grade you want. I ended up taking it my sophomore year. I wish I had taken more computer science classes, but I was more intimidated by the fact of my first experience in it. But you know, the first time you do it, it's really like learning a different language. Like the computer science course itself, it used to count as like a AP language class because it's so different. So when you first go in, it is going to be kind of like overwhelming in a sense, but then over time you kind of adjust and you learn the language, and then it just clicks one day and you're just like, this is great. I don't understand why I'm understanding this, but it's great. I guess this is what we're doing now. And it's super fun because you can literally, the whole world is your oyster with computer science. You can literally do anything with it. It's so fun.
You're such a trailblazer, Rachel. That's awesome. So we have a few more questions. Does your second language, Chinese, help you in your job?
It actually does. It one of the things is it definitely helps me stand out with recruiters. They see that and it's a nice talking point. I think one of the best things that you can do is try to have diverse hobbies. It makes it so you are a lot more talkable too when you meet recruiters at career fairs at your college or in high school. Just get connected with people. And it makes it so you can talk to them about anything. You're a lot more relatable. And especially with Chinese, since it is so widely used with the Air Force, they were like, sweet, we can totally use this. Or like any other commonplace, like more common language like Spanish, or I'm sure they would be interested in Arabic too. It's just really useful to have that. It's a nice talking piece. But on top of that, it is helpful when working with other people who do speak second languages. I've worked with several people that speak Chinese while I was doing programming with them. So it's definitely been super helpful for me.
Great. There's one additional question from Deborah. How did you find your job?
Which one? I for the internships, for the Air Force and for USAA, purely as networking. It was literally, so at college, they have a lot of opportunities for you to meet people. Go to every single career fair that you can, and talk with everybody. Even if you're not interested, just talk to them. Just make friends. I started as a freshman in college and I was talking to everybody there. And because they remember you more when your resume does come in and you're like, hey, I'm old enough to like do your job now, like, or like have a job from you now. And you remember me, we're on good terms. Like they know that you're super friendly and that you're good with people, which is super good in computer science because a lot of those guys aren't so good with people. And it's just super good to just make friends as much as you can. There's a term for it in Chinese. It's like hao guan xi, and then you make these relationships to help you better yourself and to help improve your life. And it's honestly, with USAA and with the Air Force, I decided to go to one of their career events. They talked about what they were offering. I went to the Air Force one because there was pizza and I was hungry. I was a sophomore in college. And so I went over and I just had a few questions I wanted to ask after about the projects they had. And I was just curious what it was like working for the Air Force as a computer scientist. So I just made friends with all of them. I wasn't looking for an internship. I was just making friends. And then I said hi to them the next time I saw them. And they remembered me. And then they pulled some strings to make sure I could apply early as a sophomore into the Air Force as an intern. And then for USAA, same thing. I went to their seminar because I was hungry. Like they were also offering pizza. And I really liked what their company was all about. And I was super interested. So I made friends with the recruiters. I didn't know that the one person I made super good friends with was like the head recruiter. Like I just was making friends with them. And it was just super fun.
Oh,
And eventually they found out I was old enough to do an internship and work for them, and they wanted me to. So they offered.
awesome. So talk to everybody and network. That is the lesson there. I have another question, actually two questions from Padmaja. Was Mr. Osborne your teacher for the cybersecurity question? And if so, what should you expect in his class? I'm asking because I'm currently participating in the Cyber Patriot competition, and he is the teacher, and I would like to continue.
That is awesome. So that class was taught by Mr. Parker when I was there. He taught computer science at the time, and I don't think they had expanded the program to cybersecurity quite yet. And I was too intimidated to go like continue computer science. I wish I did, but I didn't. So I ended up taking computer cybersecurity and stuff in college. So yeah, that's
All
what I
right.
ended up doing.
Lane,
Yeah.
would you like to ask the next question?
Yeah. So this one can probably go to anyone. Sana asked, what happens to students who have done Spanish 1 and Spanish 2 in middle school? What Spanish do they take when they enter high school? I don't know if any of you three speakers took Spanish and can answer this question.
Not take Spanish, but I know that as a freshman, they typically take Spanish 2 honors. And then as a sophomore, they go Spanish 3 honors. And then most of my friends were in AP Spanish by junior year.
There you go. And we can open up the floor to any questions from anyone for any one of the speakers.
Yes, so please unmute, and we would love to have any comments or questions that you may have.
I'd love to just tag something onto Sana's question, actually.
Sure, Emily.
So, Sana, I don't know which field you're looking to get into, but A plus for choosing Spanish. I really wish I took that in high school. If you're looking into the medical field, there are some medical schools now where they Spanish is almost a requirement. For example, if you want to go into like UCLA, they love Spanish speakers. So A plus for picking that language.
All right. Great. Great ad there, Emily. Thank you so much. All right. I'm looking at the time on our agenda, and at this time, I'd like to welcome Miss Ann St. Roman, who is our vice principal at Travis Ranch, to share some announcements. Ann.
Great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ann San Roman, and I have the pleasure of being the elementary assistant principal at Travis Ranch School in Yorba Linda. In addition, I'm a member of the Reach Foundation's academic team, and the Reach Foundation supports our whole district, all of PYL USD in academics, arts, athletics, and healthy lifestyles. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Now, I have some exciting news of some upcoming events that we have. We want to prepare your student to learn the language of the future. The Reach Foundation has partnered with the Coder School to offer spring coding classes for any students in grades 4 through 8 with a live online instructor. 4 classes are going to be offered this spring. They've got Tech Girls Club 1.0, Coding for All 1.0 and 2.0, Intro to Web Design 1.0 and 2.0, and Intro to Game Development 1.0 and 2.0. So classes start this coming Monday, April 19th, which everybody knows is a big day in our district as we start with increased in-person learning. You can go for registration now is open. So go to the Reach Foundation website and get registered. If you have any younger siblings, they might be interested as well. It's a great program. After this event, we'll be sending out a brief survey. We welcome your feedback, ideas, and suggestions for our future events. They just keep getting better and better, and it's a lot due to people giving us this great feedback. So thank you in advance for doing that. Now, I'd like to introduce Molina Michaels, the president of the Reach Foundation.
Hi, everyone. Oh, it's so wonderful to be here. This is our 3rd speaker series, and they just keep getting better. We've had 11 alumni come back and talk. I'm looking over our list, and I recognize the names of a few of you that have been here since our very first one in December. So thank you for coming back in. And again, to our speakers tonight, thank you so much. You know, I'm a mom, my kids are all grown up, and I listen to you all, and it just makes me so proud, feel so good. And I just applaud you. You guys are just doing great out there. And thank you for giving back to PYL. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to come and just talk to us. And I hope all of you listening in got a few things that you can take home with you and kind of remember. We had some good lines from our speakers tonight. And I think the main thing is just get out there, do it. Don't be afraid to network. Don't be afraid to jump in and learn by doing. And I am going to watch a YouTube on how to pipette. That's the other thing. Learn something new every day. That's what I'm going to learn. Anyway, I do want to throw in a little thing here too. Since we've had these great speakers coming in, we've had parents and some of our students participate and listen more than once. Think about volunteering for Reach next year. We have so many programs Anne just made reference to. Gosh, you could help in so many different ways. It could be as simple as just helping us organize some of our spreadsheets. It could be helping us put together one of these talks and communicating with our new guest speakers. So anyway, keep that in the back of your mind. I'm serious. We really do need some extra volunteers. And you can find me at info@reach4pylusd.org. That's my commercial. Now we're on to the good stuff. We have 4 Starbucks cards to give away. So from our list of here, our names and the participants, we have 4 drawings. So I have Justine Koo for a Starbucks card. Justine, We'll email you because I need to get your address so we can send it out to you via snail mail. We have Riley Trippett. We have Jonaidi Sun and Sabrina Morford. So those are our 4 card winners, Starbucks cards. Everyone could use a latte or a nice tea or coffee. We're ready to go. I'm going to toss it back to you, Giselle and Lane. Thank you again, everyone, for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Molina. Thank you so much for getting our team excited and with Molina's leadership, we were able to create all these wonderful programs. And I just so appreciate you being here. Are there any questions? I saw that there were some questions going in. Lane, is there anything that we need to address? Or
Emily's been doing a great job sending some answers in the chat. I think everyone's question got answered. If not, feel free to speak up and we can answer it in the next couple minutes that we have left.
All right. Sounds good. So Riley, you could email or you could send a note to Molina and then she'll be happy to mail the gift card to you. And I think that if there are no other questions, I'd like to thank you all for being here. Again, we'd love to get your feedback. It's in the program. If you go down to the very last page, you'll see the link that would take you to our survey. We would love to get your thoughts and feedback that will help inform our programs in the future. And thank you, Lane, for just dropping that into the chat box as well. I so appreciate our speakers. I want to acknowledge Emily Carr, Garrett Gonzalez, and Rachel Chang for your inspiration today. And, I love your messages and your journey and what you have accomplished. I think we have so much talent and in our district, and we're looking forward to seeing your growth. And don't forget to come back and visit us again in the future, because we'd like to keep in touch with you. All right. Please unmute and let's give our speakers another round of applause, if you could. All right. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Mr. David Block. Thank you, Deborah Carr, for raising such a wonderful daughter. All right. Thank you for being here. I hope that you'll have a wonderful night, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the next Reach event.
Good night.
Good night.
Hey.
Take care, everyone.
See y'all.
All right.